as far as the social distancing is concerned,
Sure.
because we should do this, and the public out there, you should also follow the guidelines. Wash your hands, avoid being close to each other, keeping the social distancing, and these are some of the ways that we're going to use if at all we are going to curb this pandemic. Now, let's talk a little bit about the efforts of the government in trying to contain the COVID-19. How can you rate the efforts of the government of Kenya in this particular moment?
Okay, I must say that I appreciate so far that the government is doing all that it can to make sure that they curb these menace, because it is quite a challenge. We have seen it's indeed a challenge. And the government has tried in putting in measures, things to do with making sure that people sanitize, providing the masks, and even educating people more about the virus, and telling people to make sure that they do not travel. This calls for self-quarantine, because it is important for all of us Kenyans to keep safe. And therefore, when the government is advising us to keep safe and quarantine ourselves, we need to do that. And I appreciate, Vincent, that the government is doing it and trying to make sure that everyone gets into it. There are repercussions and consequences of this, which probably we will continue talking about in this show. But the government has also invested in the health system. We know that they have called upon nurses, they have given finances to make sure that people are supported to be able to be tested and to be prevented from this menace. They have set aside hospitals and health facilities where people can be able to be taken care of.
Yes.
So we see the government doing its best in this particular issue.
Actually, again, we should recommend the government because through the Ministry of Health, they're trying to give as much as of information to the public as possible.
Sure.
Through the regular press conferences that they're having,
Sure,
so that they contain the, what we call fake news out there.
Sure.
Yeah, because you look at the statistics that are in the public and those that we see on social media, they really they're on a contrary, but the government is trying to make sure that the information is out there for the public, and it's a commendable thing as far as concerned. Now, let's divulge deep into the issue, the economy of Kenya before coronavirus or before COVID-19. It was kind of faltering. There were issues here and there. How can you talk about the economy of Kenya pre-COVID-19?
Economy of Kenya pre-COVID-19, I would say it was fair. We still had challenges here and there, but it was fair and growing. There were measures being put to make sure that the economy is not so adversely affected. We can look at the issue of corruption. It was affecting the economy even before this epidemic came up. We can look at the issue of piracy and things like that. And I, again, appreciate the government because of the issue of currency change. We just experienced that the other day.
Yes.
And that also helped the economy to be able to grow and stabilize. We were still not doing very good as far as the economy is concerned, but I would say it was fair. If you look at real estate, it was coming up very well. There are many areas that were coming. There was still unemployment issues here and there. There was still a few discussion about corruption. We had some political instability here and there. It gets back to the issue of BBI and all that was continuing.
Yeah.
But we can see it was fair, not down to the trail.
It was not down the trail, but look at the austerity measures that the government was trying to come up with so that they contain the debt rate that was actually going up beyond the ceiling. Look at the way they removed or repealed the interest cap rate that they had. The government, actually the president, had just regulated a year ago, and a year later he curbed it and removed it, repealed it for that matter. So it means that our economy was not as stable as much as it was working, but it wasn't stable. Look at the pending bills, then you look at the inflation, look at the debt, as you said, and look at the graft, corruption and all that. So it was an issue. Now, that was pre-COVID-19.
Yes.
Now it is here with us. It is here with us.
Yeah.
How do you see our economy going forward?
For sure, Vincent, there's a prediction of economy recession, and not only in Kenya but globally, because this is something that was uncalled for. This is something that was not prepared for. This is where even the reserves are used up to try and curb these menace. This is a time where what was kept for, we would call it even a rainy day, has to be used up.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's a time that we are experiencing a recession. Look at inflation, it will definitely go up, and the living standards will be affected. And there are so many issues that are expected to happen because wealth is wiped out. Look at the lockdown on the transportation industry. The airlines have locked, the borders are blocked, and therefore with import and exports affected, it is going to affect the economy globally. And here in Kenya, for example, if we take an example of where this coronavirus was first detected in China, we look at about 20% of our market comes from China. We rely so much on China and other countries, and therefore we are looking at a scenario where wealth is wiped out. There's going to be inflation. The recession is deepening. We cannot predict when it will end, but as long as and as far as it can be contained, when the government is able to curb and contain the situation, then we can be able to say that this whole issue will be contained. But for now, we need to take precautionary measures because the economy is going to be affected. We look at the global chain. Breakdown is happening already. We look at the global trade. It's also shrinking. So it's such a challenge and a situation where there's going to be challenges and hardship.
Actually, now let's look at the aviation industry in Kenya. The national carrier Kenya Airways was already making losses, big losses for that matter. And now, right now, how do you see the situations going forward? Because we know that several routes have been suspended, and this is a giant that was already on its knees. Is it going to survive the COVID-19, Kenya Airways?
Let me say that it's very affected. The airline, the aviation industry is affected because, you know, the borders are closed and the shutdown, it affects their business and all that. We are already hearing rumors of retrenchments and unemployment is going high. When there is no transport, there is no people moving from one country to another or moving business from one country to another, it is going to affect the airline at large. Because remember, Vincent, this trickles down to tourism, and because airline carries a large portfolio, because every other area may be affected. Look at the tourism industry, where we no longer have tourism happening as it was happening before. Look at the bookings that had been done earlier, which have been cancelled. So the airline is going to be affected in a major way, and we can only pray and trust that this epidemic can end in good time or earlier than we expect, so that this can be controlled.
You've talked about the aviation industry. If the effects are there, then the ripple effect is going to be felt across board. Look at the hospitality industry, the hotels, the tourism industry. We know that thankfully right now it's a flat season for the tourism industry. It's not the peak season. So they might try to cope with that. But the president intimated in last presser that you may, in days to come, hear that some of the staff in the hospitality and in the industry sector have been asked to take a half pay, a leave, or even layoffs. So this is going to affect across board. Talk about the transport industry in the country, the matatus and all that. There was a suggestion yesterday that, or the days before, that the transport industry, the matatus, now try to take on board fewer passengers to try and keep that social distancing of a meter away from each other. And these are matatus that are paying loans. How do you see this?
This is quite a challenge, and it's if you listened to the feedback that these matatu people were giving, some of them were saying that this is not sustainable at all unless we take up fewer people into the matatus and the government pays for the extra seats. Yeah, so as much as we know we are doing it to contain and prevent further spreading of the virus, it's going to be really a challenge, because you look at these matatu owners or even the drivers and the conductors who are in this matatu industry, they understand very well that this is a challenge and it is going to be bad if it continues spreading. But look at their income, look at how they feed their families, look at how they get their day-to-day feeding. It's through that matatu industry, and they will tell you, if you tell us to stay at home, if you tell us not to transport people, then it means we are not eating. So you'd rather take a step and go try, trusting that we will not get the virus, rather than stay at home, because we literally have no money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now let's look at this fact that Kenya actually rides on the wheels of the informal sector. That's the truth. We are not a manufacturing country. We are not really industrialized as other nations. We depend on the informal sector, like the mama mboga, jamaa wa mjengo kule, and these other guys that go and work and paid on a daily basis. There is a suggestion that people should work from home. Me and you, we are privileged. We might be able to work from home, but mama mboga cannot work from home.
Sure.
Do you see this really going to hit, if it gets worse, if the COVID-19 spread gets worse in the country? How is the informal sector going to be hit?
Okay.
How tough is it going to be?
I will tell you it will be tough, because telling these small businesses, people, the mama boga, mtu wa mkokoteni, to stay at home, it may not help them if we are not giving them handouts, so to call them. We look at the other global countries that are able to support the economy. We look at USA that is even giving allowances to their citizens.
Yeah, to a tune of 100,000.
Yes, 100,000 Kenya shillings equivalent. We look at the government there supporting the SMEs and giving them money to be able to cater for the salaries of their staffs and supporting their loans and all those kind of things. But when we come here in Kenya and other undeveloped countries, we look at that situation being a challenge, because there is no enough money, there is no funding, there is no reserve set aside for such kind of a thing. And now telling this mama boga to stay at home, and this person is the breadwinner, they need to feed their family, they need to run, to even service their loans. You know, these are people who have loans because they are not able to support all their businesses with whatever they have already saved. So it's going to really hit them, and I don't know how sustainable it is keep making them stay at home unless we introduce other ways of doing business that can sustain them and help them to be able to curb this or be able to overcome this challenge and even be able to feed them. Otherwise, it's going to be a challenge. And also looking at it on the other side, we look at SME being an important sector. Now, even banks are going to the small businesses.
Yes.
We have seen banks going to Gikoba, those small businesses. So we look at the small businesses being an important sector in the economy, where we need to really put our interest on and support, even as a government.
We look at these cases because when we do rounds as journalists out there and try to interact with mwananchi, we look at these simple small businesses like mama kuuza chakula kule, the mama mbogas, jamaa kuchoma mahindi. Right now, they almost going into a halt because nobody's really purchasing these things because they think they're already infected or affected otherwise. So what should the government do to try and contain and maintain the run of the informal sector, because it's actually the biggest wheel of our country economy.
Okay. The government should try and support these people. If we would look at the issue of inflation, for example, it has gone up, and that common mwananchi is not able to cope with the same. So we look at government bringing up or coming up with fiscal measures that can help this common mwananchi to be able to cope with the situation. For example, they have loans. These are people who are not getting cash now that the business has stopped. In a way, people are not purchasing their items like you say, and therefore the government can try and probably increase their loan repayment period, where they were expected to pay within a certain period. This can be extended. Okay, that also comes with a challenge or a risk of having more interest on board, because that's the other thing that Kenyans should know, that as you go for that option, you also need to understand that the longer the period, the higher the interest. Yeah. So it's not an easy thing that people should run into.
It's not the easiest option.
Yes, they should think about it, plan for it in advance, but it is one of the things that people can, because we don't expect that this epidemic will be for long. So the government can try and help them in that way. The other thing is on tax relief. We can talk of possibilities where government can control the tax the taxpayers are paying, and probably offer reliefs that can also help these businesses to bounce back or to come back. We look at giving them soft loans, benefits of allowances, wherever it can be possible. Another thing that the government can support these SMEs is by investing heavily on the health system, like we had mentioned earlier, because when the government has invested much into it, they are able to protect and prevent the spread of the virus, thus enabling these business owners to attend to their businesses and be able to earn something extra.
Sure, that is a sure thing. You've talked of the fiscal policies and the monetary policies that the government and the private sector, especially the banking sector, should try to come up with, and to try and actually release some relief on the Kenyan citizen. We are going to look at these policies. Are they going to work? Then again, we are going to look at the exports and imports as far as a nation is concerned, because we depend on imports. 80% of what we use in Kenya as raw materials in our industries or the manufacturing sector is imported.
Sure.
And we also depend on exports. And talking about this, we are going to talk and look at horticultural sector, because it's taken a hit as far as that is concerned, because the major economies in Europe, where we depend on exporting our horticultural products, have been shut down. Remember that you can reach us on our Twitter handle, KakTV_Kenya. On Facebook, it's KakTV Kenya, and you can also stream us live on KakTV YouTube channel. Going for a short break, we'll be back. Do not go away.
Are you looking for a reputable school to guide you in pursuing your dreams in nursing? Look no further. PCA Kikuyu Hospital School of Nursing is accredited by the Nursing Council of Kenya to offer Diploma in Community Health Nursing. With a mean grade of C plain and above, we will walk with you through your journey to pursue your dreams. We are located in a serene environment conducive for learning. At the heart of Kikuyu Sub-County neighboring Alliance Boys and Girls School, we also pride ourselves for having a fully equipped modern library with e-learning facilities, qualified and committed lecturers, comfortable and learning-friendly lecture rooms. At the state-of-the-art Skills Lab, spacious student hostel with excellent accommodation facilities, and chaplaincy staff at the hand for spiritual and pastoral care. April 2020 intake is currently ongoing. To register, apply to the principal, PCA Kikuyu Hospital School of Nursing, through email nursing@pcakikuyuhospital.org. For more information, call the numbers on your screen.
Have you ever dreamed or imagined of owning a prime property in the fastest growing areas in Kenya today? The PCEA Cooperative Society Limited is making your dreams come true. We have plots along Kangunda Road at Kantafu, Juja Farm and Thika Municipality. All the plots have ready title deeds and are ready for development. For booking and reservation, call us on 0708-145-222 or shoot us an email at pceahousingltd@gmail.com. PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited is turning your dreams into a reality.
Hebu tafakari haya. Uko nyumbani na familia yako, hauna chakula na hata mahitaji mengine, na zaidi huwezi enda kazini. Utafanya nini?
Mkurupuko wa virusi vya korona umesababisha uhaba wa mahitaji muhimu na watu wengi wanateseka. Ni kwa sababu ya haya kanisa la PCA, idara ya umisheni, kupitia marafiki wa umisheni, wanaomba tuungane pamoja ili tuchange katika gala litakalowasaidia walioathirika zaidi miongoni mwetu.
Ndugu na dada zangu zote tumeitwa ili tuje pamoja na tuwe marafiki wa umisheni wa kanisa la PCA, ili zote tuungame na tufanye kitu na zote tukaweza kuchangia ili tuweze kuwasaidia wale ambao wako katika shida na ambao wanataka usaidizi wako na wangu. Na kwa hivyo unaweza changia kupitia kwa paybill number 689549. Ile account ambao utaandika ni jina lako, na kwa hivyo kuja ili tukaweza kusaidiana kama vile Mungu ametuita katika Matendo ya Mitume 28 mstari wa 2, ya kwamba tuje pamoja na tukaweza kuonyesha ukarimu usio na kifani ili tukaweza kumfurahisha na kumpendeza Bwana. Na kwa hivyo jo, ili ukaweza kuchangia kwa njia yako dogo, nami nichangie kwa njia yangu dogo, na tukaweza kuwasaidia wale watu ambao wako na shida, na zote tutabarikiwa.
For staying with us. Welcome to the second part of this conversation, the impact of COVID-19 on the Kenyan economy. In studio, she is still with us, and Martin Maura, CPA, a financial consultant, who is trying to help us and looking at the impact on what we should do as a nation, as a government, and as a country, as individuals, to try and curb the impact of this novel virus on the Kenyan economy. Before we went on a break and we talked about the exports and imports that we depend on as an economy. Look at the imports now. 85% of our raw materials are imports.
Yeah.
And majority of that comes from China.
Yeah.
China now it's locked, it's a lockdown. How do we go about this?
Well, it's indeed a challenge, because with the lockdown, it means that business is not happening as it is supposed to be happening. The levels have gone down. It means people who had employment lack employment now. It means people who are in business cannot do this business. They have no people to sell to. They have no people coming to buy because of the lockdown. And then also another thing that is going to happen now that we are not able to import things, it means people will be running after the little limited resources that are available. So it's going to really be a challenge to everyone, and therefore we must look for alternative measures, and we must look for other locally available materials or ideas that can be able to substitute some of these things, because it's a reality that there is minimal resources. There is no import happening.
Do you think it is high time? This might be actually a blessing in disguise. Do you think that it's high time that now, as a nation, as a country, as a government, we strengthen the local manufacturer?
Sure. It is a high time that we strengthen the local manufacturing and our industries, make sure we support them, invest in them, so that we are able to provide what is not provided by what we import. And therefore, that's why I talked about looking for locally available alternatives where we can be able to support ourselves, because after coronavirus, we need to continue living and supporting ourselves.
Because some of the things that we import actually look like we import even matchsticks.
Sure.
We import toothpicks. These are things that we can manufacture and make locally.
Yeah.
We should, I'm looking at it and trying to think of the ways that the government can look at this. Like KPLC, it's a government-owned entity. Do you think it's high time that now they cut down even the power cost to the local manufacturer so that he doesn't spend a lot on power and concentrate on manufacturing quality products for the Kenyan market?
Yes, yes. Here, Vincent, we need to imagine at this point that the government should come in and support. Because, for example, like you talk of the issue of the power, we need to have cut down costs so that we are able to manufacture at low costs, because that is one of the challenges that people face when we try to manufacture things locally, and therefore we are forced to import. And if the government can support the local industries to be able to manufacture at low cost, then we will be able to elevate the industries here in Kenya and be able to produce some things locally. Like you say, there are some things we need not to import if we can manufacture them here. But now the problem is, us Kenyans still don't trust our own things. We still want to import. But if the government can help, and all of us Kenyans can help put confidence and make sure that we reduce the cost to minimal, we can be able to raise the confidence of the things that are locally manufactured, and be able to support our economy in that way. And there being, we don't know what will come next after coronavirus, and preparedness is crucial. So we need to prepare for anything that may come next in future so that we are able to be self-reliant and independent.
I'm looking at another positive from this. Agrochemicals, I know you remember this company. It was a manufacturing farm that was closed a few years ago, but a few days ago it was reopened to produce the cost-free, or let's say free of charge sanitizer that the government wants to produce. So actually this is a farm that is coming up now, and people are going to be needed to work in this industry. So it's a way of actually creating employment. So it's a positive also on our side. If we looked at it from the flip side, then we can do wonders as far as this menace is
I totally
concerned.
agree with you, and sure enough, that's a very good example which has created an opportunity. You know, even in this menace of coronavirus, it has also created opportunities here and there, because like now that industry is going to come up. We look at people being deployed. So it means there's a possibility, if the government is able to support our local industries, we can be able to do things at minimal cost and with quality, because that's the issue.
Now, on another side, let's look at our exports. We depend on the European countries on our exports, on the goods that we really get out of this country and out there. I want to look at Majan Chai, and then the flowers, horticulture sector. Flowers, the flower industry to be specific in Kenya, actually last year, it brought in foreign exchange 120 billion shillings in foreign exchange. Right now, you look at the statistics, the farmers and the stakeholders in the industry are saying that they are taking a loss of 30 million a day.
Yes, in a day.
How tough that can that be?
This is quite tough. The other day, the president of the USA, President Trump, shut down the flights from Europe to USA, and that really causes a major impact in the flower industry. We look at Holland in Netherlands as a major market for flowers, and this is where many countries depend on that, even here in Africa. So by that shutdown, it's going to affect so many countries, and this horticulture and flower industry is going to be affected in a big way, because now it means we cannot export. And look at people who have produced these flowers. They've already incurred the cost, but now the flowers could be somewhere rotting and not able to export because there is no means of transportation because of this shutdown. So it's really going to affect them, and instead of growing them, this is actually a big blow to their business, and their income is affected in this factor. So it's really a major challenge for them.
It's a major challenge. Now I want us to look at the other economies, like the superpowers. We look at the USA. The USA the other day released around 85 trillion shillings to just try and support business to be running. The UK released around 42 trillion to try and make the business run. Look at the countries that have been locked down, Italy and France. They're trying to come with a raft of measures to try to and relieve the mwananchi, the normal citizen, in trying to make them not feel the pressure because they are not working. They're actually at home. The measures they have taken is like trying to really come up with a standardized pricing of the necessary commodities, and then they have actually frozen rent payments. As a country, if at all, we are not praying for this, but if at all we went into a lockdown, are we able to do such things?
At the moment, my guess would be no, because where we are as a country, I am not sure we are able to give allowances close to 100,000 to every mwananchi, like US did, because USA gave equivalent of Kenya shillings 100,000.
Yes.
And they also gave, I think it was to the tune of 30 trillion to SMEs to support them to be able to pay their salaries and all that. And as Kenya, where we are trying, but it's going to be a challenge because we may not be able to, the government is probably not able to support. And this becomes a challenge to all undeveloped countries or developing countries where you're not able to support all your citizens to that level.
Yes.
We look at China. It has done this. It has disinfected their regions all over. You know, the government has invested in that. Look at a country like a place like in Italy. They have improved and invested immensely in their health system.
Yes.
So as Kenya, where we are today, I am not very sure we're in a position to support to that level where we say that those who are paying rent can stop paying rent for a period of a certain month or this duration, because probably the landlords have not finished also paying loans for the residential houses. You see, it's a chain of challenges, and that is why unless the government cuts across all such that if you do not pay rent, then the landlord should not pay the loan, and then everybody now is catered for in that scenario. But even saying that, we are not failing to appreciate the attempts and the measures the government is putting in, even talking to the stakeholders to be able to support this whole system and support every mwananchi. We look at Safaricom, for example. They have been able to waive charges for 90 days. I think that's a big plus, because for SMEs, when you're able to send more money at no cost, and even every individual, it's such a plus for the government, and I think we should take advantage of that, and that will help a lot. When you look at the banks, when they are talking about helping in the lowering the rates and such kind of a thing, it's a plus. So what is remaining is that extra step that we can reach to the level of some of those countries.
You've talked about the banks and all that. The other day they released modalities on to try and reduce or actually reduce the pressure on the Kenyan citizen, and they waived the fees of transferring money from one wallet to the accounts and forth. And again they elongated or increase the period of loan payment. are these really measures that are going to really help relieve the citizen, and should the government do more? Because this is a private sector that's doing this. But what of the government of Kenya?
I would start by answering your question that these measures, they could be short term, but they will relieve the mwananchi, common mwananchi, from some of the challenges. Because right now, when you have stock and you cannot sell, or even you don't have that stock at all, and you have nothing, and you have a loan, that delayment of repayment of that loan is going to help you within that period. Or when you are able to transfer money from one account to the other, or mobile to the account in the bank at no cost or reduced charges, it is also going to help a lot. So what is remaining is the support from the government side, because that is what even the common mwananchi is looking at. That is what everyone is crying out to, because the government would have more impact than even the private sectors. The private sectors come in to help and assist what the government would do, that will go a long way in helping the living standards of the common mwananchi, and even saving the coming down of these small businesses.
Yeah, sure. Now, what sector will you concentrate on if you are given an opportunity to strengthen? What sector will you strengthen in this particular period?
I think, apart from the horticulture that is locally here that I would really strengthen, I would look at the aviation, because it's affecting many other. It's affecting the industry of tourism. It's affecting the, like we talked about, the flower industry. It's affecting so many things. So if the coronavirus is prevented in such a way that the borders are opened, when we are able to say that we are safe, there is no more transmission. We've taken the precautionary measures, we have tested, because that now takes me also to massive testing. If the government is able to introduce testing even for those people with no symptoms, because right now those people who are being tested more so are the ones with symptoms.
Yes.
And we can narrow it down to testing everyone. Massive testing.
Actually, the government introduced that the other day.
Just the other day, and we are happy that we are now able to test it here without the results back here in Kenya. So if that happens, it's going to help everyone, and it's going to help all this industry to come back again. So if the measures are taken seriously and this is curbed, then the borders would be opened with the confidence that there is no more spreading of the same, and then this industry will come back, because it carries a lot. It's a lockdown. There's no continent, there's no country that is self-sufficient. We need global market to be functional again, to be able to have money circulation, and to be able to support each and every industry. So I think that's the area that I would give more weight, even with the others, because they are all important.
Because they are all important.
Yeah, sure.
Even as we close and come to the tail end of this conversation, what are some of the measures, and because they are here, what are some of the measures that we should take, we as individuals, in matters to try to improve ourselves economically, financially? You said you as a financial consultant, what are some of the measures that we should take?
Okay, I would say that there's a lot we can do from an individual capacity to be able to help the whole economy. We start by saving. I would call it as simple as saving, making sure that you save. You don't just spend, you save. Have a mind of saving in everything that you do. The other thing I will talk about is, as you save, spend less. We're in a season where this is not the time to buy what is not necessary. From a financial point of view, I would say it is time to spend just when it is necessary, and spend less, because we don't know how long this menace is going to take. We don't know how long it's going to be contained, and therefore for the time being, we need to save more. And then there are this advice we've been given. When you're told to self-quarantine, let's do it. The government has gone ahead and said no more public gatherings. Let's take it positively. Let us stay at home. Let us do what we can. Let us the simple measures like washing our hands now and then. It's going to protect, and our economy is going to bounce back as soon as possible. I'm looking at an issue of uncertainty because we are uncertain how long this will be, and therefore whatever we do, we need to budget and plan for it. Right now we need to plan for what may come, because budgeting simply means you plan for expenditures you expect against the income you know you can get, so that you are able to plan yourself and play safe in everything that you do. And then I think we also need to learn new skills. This one I was thinking about the other day, Vincent. Now children are at home. Schools are closed. We are at home. It's an opportunity for people to be together, opportunity for home fellowships, opportunity for children to learn new things. Instead of just taking it, you are at home because of coronavirus, we can take an advantage and develop ourselves by making sure these children can cook. We can learn new skills. We can do so many other things. You can do washing. There has been that season of where children cannot do much. At home, we can keep them busy and we can have more and more information. Maybe another thing that we should do is improve on information. Make sure, I think when we started, you talked about how the government is trying to communicate through the press releases that are happening, conferences and all that. So information is power. We are able to use technology now, and let's use technologies in the right way so that we get the right information, and think also before we forward any information, because there are so many that are happening. I talked about using what is locally available, and I think that will also help us a lot. And I think finally I would say, Vincent, pray. As Kenyans, we need to pray. We need to, it's not about the much money we have. It is important to have money. It is important to save. It is important to do all that, but also pray and trust in God, because He can be able to stop this. There are so many things we can do, but He comes and does what we cannot do. The government will do as much, we will do as much, but God also comes and does what we cannot do. So praying, and you know the Bible in the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14 says that if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, repent, pray, and call upon God, He will hear from above and answer our prayers. So even as we do all this, let us know that God is able to restore us and to sustain us, to provide for us in everything that we do, because He is in control and Jesus is coming soon.
She said it all. I don't want to add, but I'll say that do not panic. We will defeat this. Just help the government in helping us defeat the COVID-19. Follow the guidelines, follow the measures that are being put in place by the government and the Ministry of Health, and then, as she said, pray and believe. Do not panic. We are going to defeat this. We've been having let me say CPA and Mwaura Martin on our show today, a special edition of Kazi looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the Kenyan economy. And you can keep this conversation going on our social media handles. On Twitter, we are at KakTV_Kenya. On Facebook, it's KakTV Kenya. And of course, follow us live on YouTube at KakTV Kenya. And then let's keep this talking. Let's talk and try to help the government in helping us. Thank you, Anne. Unfortunately, we cannot shake hands because, you know, we must keep to the guidelines. And also continue keeping the social distance, and everything is going to be all right. That is it from us. God bless you. See you next time.
Thank you.
Imagine this, you're at home with your family without food or other basic commodities. Worse still, you cannot go to work. what would you do?
The coronavirus pandemic has caused a severe shortage of basic commodities, and many people are suffering. It is for this reason the PCEA Church Mission Department, through the Friends of Mission, is appealing to you to make a contribution towards a reserve that is going to help the most affected in our midst.
So with this, we are urging all of you to become PCA Friends of Mission. You can contribute through paybill number 689549, and the account number is your name. As the Bible urges us in the book of Acts 28 verses 2, let us demonstrate extraordinary kindness by helping those who need us. Come, let us do this, all of us together.